evening. In a bit less than 2 hours from right now, the astronauts John Young and Robert Crippen will be awakened in space and start the long countdown for the Space Shuttle Columbia's history-making flight back to planet Earth. Today's maneuvers went so well that the astronauts had time to clown around with a TV camera, you can see that here, and take some spectacular pictures of Earth. Young and Crippen also got a rather unusual serenade at their dinner this evening, a rendition of the song Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy of Company B, played by a group of musicians that actually are mostly flight controllers for NASA. Now, if all goes well, the 2.5-day journey in space for the Columbia will end at 10:28 tomorrow morning, our time, just short of 10:30, in Southern California at Edwards Air Force Base. UC's Lee McCarran, waiting at Edwards, has this report on the excitement down there.
When you bring your very first space shuttle back to Earth from space for the very first time, you don't want to miss. So you want to choose a very large landing spot. Edwards Air Force Base is a very large landing spot. The smooth, dry beds of Rogers Lake are the widest, longest flat spots you can find out here in the Mojave Desert northeast of Los Angeles. If worst came to worst, the astronauts have 65 square miles to choose from. And for Edwards Air Force Base, with its long golden history of flight achievements, tomorrow morning, the landing of the shuttle, if all goes well, will be the capper. Edwards, however, is not accustomed to the sort of attention it's getting now. 2,000 press people and many more thousands of spectators weren't here for the flights of the X-15 and its cousins. Many aviation milestones set on this desert plain were covered by the cloak of top security, not by the world press. The Space Shuttle clearly is a cut above its predecessors. But then there never were any X-15 T-shirts, tie tacks, nor jacket patches. The selling of the Space Shuttle is underway. All of the proceeds go directly to NASA. The buyers, however, aren't supporting the space program. By law, NASA cannot make a profit on these sales. But the real souvenirs here are not to be bought, only to be admired. Sometimes bizarre-looking experimental aircraft are all around Edwards. Fighter jocks look to this as test pilot mecca, right stuff central, as author Tom Wolfe would have it. And this, a relic of the space program. Remember the Apollo lunar lander, the LEM? This is what the astronauts trained in. It's a skeleton now, but this four-legged gangly vehicle once flew over the Rogers dry lake bed. Neil Armstrong, first man to walk on the moon, very nearly died in one of these. He ejected just before the fiery crash. More than 50 test pilots have died on these hot, dusty grounds. In the field of experimental aircraft, such as the Space Shuttle Columbia, nothing is a sure thing. There is no question that it has been an excellent, near flawless mission up to now. There is no question that the spirits among NASA people are high and confident. But the fact is, the shuttle has yet to prove itself entirely. It has yet to show that it can return safely to Earth. The concerns over the tile heat shield, for example, are very real. The proof of the pudding will be seen here. Tomorrow morning, on this spot, we will learn whether we are embarked on the next era of space travel. At Dryden Flight Research Center, Edwards Air Force Base, Lee McCarran, Channel 7 News Scene.
It's going to be a very exciting day, and all that excitement can be seen right here on Channel 7 tomorrow, starting with Good Morning America at 7 tomorrow morning. Jan?
So, Jerry, the big test for the space shuttle comes tomorrow morning with the landing. And as Lee just reported, the big question tonight is how will those heat-resistant tiles hold up during the actual re-entry? Now, this is our model of the space shuttle. NASA has already reported that during Sunday's launch, 16 of the heat-repelling tiles on the orbital maneuvering rocket pods located on each side of the tail and on the upper side of the shuttle slipped off, but officials say that those missing tiles won't have any effect on safety during re-entry. But the important part will be the tiles located all across the underbelly of the shuttle. Those tiles will have to withstand tremendous friction, heat up to 2,300 degrees Fahrenheit as the orbiter comes in for an airplane-like landing at Edwards Air Force Base. Now tonight, Mission Control says those vital underside tiles are intact after studying photographs very carefully taken by super powerful ground cameras. NASA officials aren't the only ones confident tonight that those important tiles will bear up under the crucial test tomorrow morning. News Scene's David Louie tonight talked to an official of the Sunnyvale company that manufactured those tiles who says he's not worried. David has more from the newsroom.
Jan, there are 31,000 of those tiles covering the skin of the Space Shuttle Columbia. The fact that some of them have fallen off does have NASA officials very concerned at this point. However, we talked tonight to the man who supervised the manufacture of those tiles down at Lockheed in Sunnyvale, and he says it's location and not the number of tiles that have fallen off that will be critical on re-entry tomorrow. The surface of the shuttlecraft will be subjected to temperatures as high as 2,300 degrees Fahrenheit. The black tiles on the bottom or belly of the craft will get the worst of the heat. White tiles on other surface areas may have to withstand as much as 1,200 degrees. The tiles are made of silica from South Carolina. The outer layer is designed to deflect heat. What heat penetrates this layer is trapped by the second or inner layer, which diffuses the heat. You could actually touch the back of a tile while holding a propane torch to the front of it. 97% of the tile, though, is air. The tiles cover an aluminum shell similar to regular aircraft. The fact some of the tiles have fallen off and were clearly missing in TV pictures from the Space Shuttle has caused some concern. But Rick McCarter, who was in charge of the tiles' production, says not to worry.
The shuttle enters at an attitude similar to this, and they are protected by the whole lower portion of the vehicle itself. This area is protected, so I would consider that not to be a problem at all.
The tiles themselves represent a costly investment. Each tile costs between $500 and $1,000 apiece. Jan, the ultimate test will come, of course, tomorrow morning when the shuttle re-enters the Earth's atmosphere. But NASA already has given those tiles a real big vote of confidence. They've already given an order to Lockheed down in Sunnyvale to manufacture enough tiles to cover 3 more Space Shuttle vehicles.
Okay, thank you very much, David. They may have to come up with some better glue, though. ABC's live coverage of the Space Shuttle landing will begin tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. with touchdown at Edwards Air Force Base expected at 10:28. A special caravan of space buffs from the San Jose area are traveling all night long to Edwards Air Force Base so they can see that landing in person. We'll have their story a little bit later on.
Tomorrow here on Good Morning America, we'll talk about the return of the Space Shuttle Columbia. We'll also explore the very special relationship that exists between Grand Shuttle Columbia. They came in just a few minutes ago. Here they are coming over California, over the United States at this point. The final pictures from Space Shuttle Columbia, and we hope the first of many such pictures that we'll be receiving in the years to come from space. This is home